Alright everybody, we're back with Maid of Perfection for NaNoRenO 2015, only on Venus now. I am JP the Third. We're getting back into the insanity.
Finally! You're mine, bitch!
As if the itch Red held had been completely wiped away and replaced with pleasure, Red charged once again at Carolyn with a look of deep excitement on her face. Carolyn brought up her broom and stood her ground, returning to the fight with Red on the defensive.
What are you doing?
Before I could step in, Angela stepped in front of me to bar me from stepping in. I glared as she crossed her arms.
This is part of the experiment. We have to test the results in the only way we can, by having them fight.
Like a million other ways you can test this. Fight? What had this become? A battle royale? Opened my mouth, but the noblewoman continued.
That's why we're here. We represent our maids and become the controllers for the experiment. If our maids can protect us perfectly, then the experiment is successful.
Angela turned her body to look over at the fighting maids, causing me to do the same. The maids were clashing weapons with ridiculous precision and force. You could definitely tell that they were trained in combat just from how they threw their hits.
I will tear you to shreds!
Red has served me well for almost a full year now. She is devoted to being the best. But she told me about your maid. Apparently she's the best maid fighter from the academy they train at.
I looked at Carolyn and mentally agreed just from the sight. Red had a very hard offense, but Carolyn kept up the defense masterfully. They both looked equally matched, to say the least. For some reason, there was a certain grace Carolyn had while fighting Red, which made her stand out. Maybe it was because she was my maid, or maybe it was her... I shook my head wildly. Wait a minute. How could I be so accepting of this? This was too strange.
I'm actually very unimpressed. She may be the best in the academy, but she has yet to even bring Red down. She must have been overestimated.
She's fighting with a broom, and she's holding off the girl that's fighting with actual weapons. I glared at Angela, suddenly becoming insulted. Yeah, screw you. Angela laughed before clapping her hands together, making a large noise echo through the lobby.
Red, enough!
We jumped away from Carolyn and panted, still smirking wildly at her with deadly intent. However, she moved the knife in her hand under her skirt and sheathed it back with her other knives in her petticoat? Apron? Whatever that is. Angela crossed her arms and looked at Carolyn up and down with a raised eyebrow.
This is a waste of my time. It's obvious that you need to train more, Red, if you hope to properly bring this maid down.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I know I can beat her. I was just getting warmed up.
Nevertheless, it looks like this little fight will have to wait. I have an appointment to keep.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait a minute. Can I just point out that if she's technically unarmed, she's fighting with a broom. If you want to go ahead and knock her out, now would be the time to do it. If you let her train and actually be armed and they're at equal footing now with her fighting with a broom, she's going to kick your ass. I almost got this supposed to be shonen. How dare I try and bring logic into this equation? Angela looked at me with a business-like stare, making me tense up slightly.
I'll give you a week to prepare your maid. If your maid can beat Red, which I highly doubt, then I'll leave you alone, and you can remain one of us.
Wait a minute, that's not the rules. Wait, is that the rules? I thought...
You're on.
When you lose, though, you'll have to kiss your master goodbye.
Are they gonna kill me? What? She'd have to leave? What? That made no sense at all. No, that doesn't make any sense. Those aren't stakes. Like, if this is a top-level government project where only the best of the best can be used, somebody has to die here. I mean, there needs to be, like, especially if you're going to go full psycho crazy with Red here, there needs to be a body trail countrywide of dead maids who have failed in their duties. Angela looked at my sudden change of emotion as Red laughed.
I'm no longer in training, and I've already proven myself to Miss K and the rest of the Academy heads. I'm not monitored by the Academy anymore, so I can continue to serve my master even if I lose a fight, which has never happen.
How do you know when you lose? I mean, if you don't die, do you just give up? I have so many questions. Red turned her gaze back to Carolyn, smirking and running her tongue over the top row of her teeth before continuing her explanation.
You, on the other hand, are fresh out of the academy. If you fail to prove that you can protect your master before your third check-in, you'll be shipped right back to the school, and we'll have to start at the bottom of the barrel, where you belong.
I guess that's sufficient enough humiliation, but nobody dies. That's a shame. The look on Carolyn's face made it clear that she was telling the truth.
That's not going to happen. Don't get so confident. Don't forget that you have to do your maid duties as well. If you fail to do your duties and keep the house clean like the good maid you're supposed to be, even if you somehow manage to get stronger than me, you'll still be shipped out.
Not gonna question it. This was beyond insanity, yeah. How in the heck were we supposed to manage this? How was Carolyn supposed to train and be a maid at the same time? Angela then turned and began to walk towards the front door.
If you lose your maid, you'll lose your noble status. I suggest taking the week to pack your bags, middle-class rat.
Are they really going to let me out of this place? I just want to know because I'm technically like you said, I'm a middle-class citizen that has knowledge of a highly secretive government project. They can't just let me out of this place. I almost want to get the bad end now to see how dead I get, because there is no... I'm sorry, I don't care how, sanitized you want your project to be. There is no way that if she loses, I just walk away. Not happening. Not in any fictional universe. And with that, Red led her master out the house, closing the door behind them. I couldn't help but buckle down and sit on the staircase, feeling completely overwhelmed. This was the catch? My job was to be a maid's master and make sure she did her job? If she fails, she gets taken away and I lose my noble title? This was a mind jumble and I didn't like it one bit. My mind felt like cracking, but I had to accept the reality of the situation. I was involved in a messed up experiment. It's only messed up to the degree where we're moving on, we're just gonna push. I looked to Carolyn and saw her frown before she turned and bowed to me.
I'm terribly sorry. I didn't expect anyone to come, and I didn't know if you were aware of the situation or not. I wanted to tell you later today, but apparently Miss Worthing and Red had other plans.
I shook my head, holding my hand up. It was a waste of time to try and mope about the past. I had to make sure I didn't lose my nobility in the first week of obtaining it. Why? Since they didn't directly threaten your life, moving on. Yep, that would suck. Greedy bastard. I looked to Carolyn with a serious expression, standing up.
You have a week to get ready. What do you need to do?
Well, I need to train hard to get ready for another battle with Red. However, I need to keep the house clean and organized from dust and disorganization.
Carolyn bit her lip and looked at the ground, trying to figure out what to do. I felt really bad. She almost looked like a sad child. Well, why don't I just do the cleaning and you train? I'm used to it. I'm lower class. All I have to do is just dust and sweep. I'm guessing the best answer here is we have to win. I said I'll just say you can do it. That sounds more like the showing thing to say. I needed her to know that I supported her. I knew she could beat Red. Carolyn looked up at me wide-eyed before looking down at her dress and blushing wildly. I smiled and gently placed my hand on her shoulder, making her look back up at me. As her eyes met with mine, I closed my eyes and nodded with a reassuring smile. As I opened my eyes, she nodded with a matching smile. I could tell that she would try her best. I rubbed my chin, trying to think. However, Carolyn walked up and looked up at me from the bottom steps of the stairs.
Master, I'll listen to you and follow all of your orders of when I can train and when I should clean. It's your home, after all, so you should dictate when I do things, so I don't inconvenience you.
That makes sense, but I still don't like it. We'll see how the system goes. I stared at her in surprise before thinking about it. She had a good idea. If I scheduled it, she wouldn't overwork herself, and we could devote good time to cleaning, training, and resting. We had a week after all. If we divided each day into 2, Carolyn could both clean and train on certain days and times. Then, to make sure she doesn't pass out, I could suggest giving her time off once in a while. I was used to work, so it wasn't hard to keep the house clean myself sometimes. Thank you. Thank you. That's what now you're making sense. Yeah, this was definitely a good idea. Now to follow through on it.
All right. Let's do our best.
There's no way I was going to let Angela and Red get the best of us. No way. May the Maid games begin. I can't believe he said that. Day 1, Saturday morning. Okay, so I'm guessing you have to... Yeah. Okay, so we'll start this off with a little cleaning. I thought I'd have her clean first. Carolyn nodded and took up her broom, cleaning the lobby first. Not wanting to get in the way, I rushed back to my room to eat breakfast and play some video games. This guy is the most... Oh, I guess the girl would be pretty much the same. I trusted Carolyn to clean everything up to par with how maids were supposed to clean the house. At Saturday afternoon. As the afternoon started to approach, Carolyn reappeared at my door with lunch. I ate it happily, of course, but I knew that I had to dictate what should she do to the rest of the day. The choices, I understand it, but... And I even understand the setup. The setup actually makes sense because if in this world you're supposed to be completely incognito as a maid, you have to get used to people ordering you around. However, it would make more sense if there was more activity in the train. Like if there were scenes, and maybe that'll happen if there were scenes happening when you trained, and you just had to kind of. If she just went, here's the thing, and I could be wrong, and let me back up and just say it like I think it. If she just went off to train and do everything herself, and you had to be the one to pull her back and keep her human along the way, that would make a little bit more sense than this, because her goal as a student would just be to train and clean and do everything right, and you as a lazy bum would just be, you would be there letting her do whatever she wants, which would cause her to crash and cause her to fail. You would have to be, if the game made the protagonist the emotional center instead of just the dictator, it would actually connect. The characters would connect instead of just being this cute maid who you just kind of like. I don't know. Maybe that scene will happen. We got 3 or 4 minutes. We'll see. So you may train now. I decided to have her train. Carolyn nodded and went out to the lobby, running laps around the lobby, using the stairs. We don't have a weight room in this building or anything. I could hear Carolyn running up and down the stairs of the lobby and pause to do some push-ups and sit-ups to break the rhythm. As the day started to end, Carolyn fixed me dinner before excusing herself for the night. I yawned and went to bed myself. Today was just so mind-jarring, it was hard to close my eyes. However, I managed to head to sleep eventually. Day 2, Sunday. I woke up the next day and stretched yawning. I looked at the time, 10:30 a.m. Just in time to go to church. No church. Oh, yeah. As a knock appeared on my door, I looked to my door and said, "Enter," knowing it was Carolyn with food. Carolyn entered the room with a tray covered in delicious breakfast food, and I, of course, ate every last bite with happiness. However, as I finished, Carolyn bowed to me and asked me to instruct her for the day. What would happen every day? What should Carolyn do for the first what? I think that was a glitch. So last time I had her clean first, so we'll do training first this time. So I have her train. She left. Carolyn nodded and excused herself to leave the room. Out of curiosity, I stuck a glance out of my room and looked out to see Carolyn practicing martial arts in the lobby. She had moved all of the furniture to do her training. It was kind of cool to watch, but I decided to leave her alone. I didn't want to break her concentration if she caught me staring. See, this would have been a good conflict to have. This lazy guy suddenly dropped into the lap of luxury, has to try and, if he had to try and stop ignoring her and forcing her to try and center herself and not lose her humanity to training and cleaning and just being a machine. A little cliche, but this is just, I don't know. I looked to the time, it's 4 o'clock, and decided to wander around the house and explore. I didn't find much except for a couple of bathrooms, a large dining room, an equally large kitchen, and we already know this. I most likely would never get used to how big this house was. Day 2, Sunday afternoon. As the afternoon started to approach, Carolyn, it's 4 o'clock. Don't they see the time? Carolyn reappeared at my door with lunch. It was perfect, of course. What should Carolyn do for the second half of the day? Since she trained, we'll do the cleaning now. So I have to have her clean first. I trusted Carolyn to clean everything up to par with how maids were supposed to keep the house. As day started to end, she fixed me dinner, blah, 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 blah. Day 2 done. Day 3. The morning started with a surprise visit from the man who drove me here. He apparently was an instructor for the maids, and he came for an evaluation of Carolyn. He was very impressed on how clean the mansion was. He almost ran his finger on every wood and marble surface, checking for dust, and found absolutely nothing. I looked at Carolyn, who smiled at me before nodding and watching the man finish his evaluation. For now, she was passing with flying colors. Apparently, he also knew about the quarrel between Angela and myself. He wished me luck, but reminded me not to overwork Carolyn. I had to remember that. As she left, Carolyn looked to me for her day assignment. And go rest. We passed the test. We're good. Outside to have her rest, Carolyn nodded and excused herself to her room. Carolyn definitely deserved the break. Day 3, Monday afternoon. As the afternoon started to approach, Carolyn reappeared with lunch. It's probably good that you train now. Maybe she has some training equipment in there. I decided to take a dip in the pool myself. I needed to work out too. As I passed by the door that led to her room, I could hear Carolyn punching out some sort of bag or mattress, probably slamming punches for strength and endurance. Nice. As the day started to end, Carolyn fixed me dinner before excusing herself for the night. Sliding by day 3 into day 4. We're almost there, and we're at the usual mark. I like to cut these things off on. So when we come back, we'll start off with day 4. Hopefully finish up with this training montage. And this is rather simplistic, but considering the time frame, that's probably the best way to use it. It's just, and I hope I was clear with that. I'm pretty sure I rambled it out, and I'll be able to make better sense of it at the end of the game. But there's no emotional connection between me and the maid, or the character, not even me and the maid, but the character and the maid, the protagonist. And this would have been the time where if she would have just ran off and said, I'm going to just do everything, just leave it to me, that's when you kind of come in and have your cliche moment of you trying to be the human in the situation who's completely out of his depth, or trying to help her clean, or trying to help her work out, or something. And since this is billed as an ecchi game, you could have got 2 or 3 more scenes out of that. But I don't know. We still have some time. We'll see which way this goes. We are on video 4 of this, so yeah, just leave a like if you're enjoying the series. Leave a comment if you have any questions or anything like that. Well, never mind, don't do any questions, just do comments, because the way I'm doing this, I won't have time to answer it until the next series. But other than that, check out VNsNow.com. That is VNsNow.com for everything we do and everything that we're planning to do. I will see you guys next time. Day 4.